Hi, my name's Sophie Miller, and I will be explaining how my experience with my gender identity has caused a bit of an issue pertaining to my inability to live up to the expectations that come alongside it. Fairly recently, I chopped off over a foot of my hair. My hair was really long, dark, and thick. It didn't have a lot of dimension or body, and I was pretty much just over how it kind of seemed like it was eating me. I had a friend cut it off, and it wasn't immediately my favorite, but it grew on me. Every one of my female friends raved about it, saying it was cute and it fit me well, some even cutting their hair to a similar style. It was still a pretty feminine haircut. As you can see, it's a little grown out, but it was a bob about here, a few inches above my shoulders, but I began to get a lot of backlash from men about it. Many of the boys I'd been friends with before had started to make comments on how they'd liked it much better when it was long, when it was dyed blonde, which was over 2 years ago. It went so far that random men I didn't know messaged me on Instagram to tell me how upset they were that I'd cut my hair, and included graphic things they'd thought about doing when it was longer. Aside from feeling disgusted and violated by those messages, it did kind of get me to realize why I'd been feeling so down on my appearance. I was beginning to agree with those men after hearing about it so often, and only then did I realize what the real issue behind my haircut was to them. It was an issue that pertained to my gender identity as a female. It wasn't that it looked bad or even that it was that different. It was that I no longer looked as feminine as I had before. Women are expected to uphold a standard of femininity to please men and avoid conflict. And when I'd question that ever so slightly with a simple haircut, I was targeted with insults I'd never asked for. I was also further ostracized for my responses, showing that I was offended or replying with a snotty remark, which then usually followed by a long paragraph or a "you weren't even that hot before." When my comments weren't downplayed and I didn't hold the gendered role of a quiet girl, many men felt upset and their need to share those emotions was too strong for them to fight off. I find many other women and girls are terrified to cut their hair off, as they have an emotional connection to it. It makes them feel pretty. When we don't feel as feminine as possible, we often see ourselves as undeserving or unworthy. Well, my haircut backlash was nothing compared to the experience many women of color struggle with on a daily basis for their hair, something we've wrote about for a few weeks now, the struggle of a black woman face while being ignored for a white woman's less serious issues, but nevertheless, it was something that was centered around my gender identity and the expectations that come alongside it.